I'm going to ask you straight up. Does your elders quorum have a service coordinator? I mean, I bet your relief society has a compassionate service coordinator, but does your elders quorum have a service coordinator? This is a handbook calling, and there's so many ways that this can really shift the culture in your ward to be more service-oriented, and I brought in just the guy to talk about this. His name is Ajax Trueblood, and down in St. George, Utah, he's actually had this role in 2 different wards in different areas of Utah, and this is going to be applicable for every elders quorum out there. I know service and organization and needs may look different ward to ward, stake to stake, state to state, but this is something that we can really enhance our culture in our ward and make it a place where everybody can give and really be sanctified by these opportunities of discipleship to step up and serve. And how does he do this? How does he motivate people? How does he find the service assignments? Is it just move-ins that he's focused on? Well, we answer all these questions, and he's got great answers. So let's jump into it. Here's my interview with Ajax Trueblood, teaching us on being a elders quorum service coordinator. All right, today I have the opportunity to chat with Ajax Trueblood. Where does a name like that come from? It's like a comic book name.
Trueblood is a real name that comes from Old English Quakers. Ajax is my Air Force call sign.
Oh, nice.
So my real official name is Roger, but only the IRS and the spam callers call me Roger. Nice. But yeah, I've been going by Ajax for a long time now.
And how do you earn such a name? And
that's a long, dark history, and I might have to kill you if I had told you.
Well, hey, let's not get into that. We're just talking about service. So
no, I wouldn't kill you. I'd just tousle your hair a little bit.
Okay, all right. So I heard I shared another interview you did over at Salty Saints around this concept of a service coordinator. And where's a good place to start with this? Is this a handbook calling?
Absolutely, it is. I didn't know that when I took it. So I've been doing this now in 2 different wards for the past 7+ years, and I think it's the best calling in the church. Nice. I think that selfless service is the center of the gospel. And I could quote all kinds of scriptures. Mosiah, bear one another's burdens. That's the one that means the most to me. But of course, charity, never faileth, and that kind of stuff. So it just seems to me that at the essence, at the core of the gospel that Jesus Christ taught, it's to reach out to others, help them, serve them. And I think often it gets lost in all the other things that we do. So for several years now, I've been pretty passionate about this and trying to magnify my calling as much as possible. It wasn't until I had already been doing it for a while that I actually started looking at the manual.
No. Is there a lot of direction?
There isn't much there. There's not much there. It's in section 8 for elders quorum. And now I can't remember I think it's 8.5.3. It just says quorum presidencies can call a service coordinator to help people. I mean, it's like a sentence. Yeah. And an assistant if so desired.
So in your experience, I think you're currently in Southern Utah in St. George.
Yeah,
area?
I'm in St. George in the Green Valley Stake.
Okay. And then before you served in this calling up
in Vineyard, which was at the time the fastest growing community in the United States. The ward split twice. I was there for 2 years. The ward split twice. At one point, it was up to 1,200 people, and we had move-ins constantly, 3 times a week. Sometimes simultaneous moves. So it was a younger ward. I reached out to the guys that I knew that were willing, and we created. When I say created, I mean, basically I just gave it a name that I thought was catchy. I called it the QRF, the Quick Reaction Force. So I basically went to the elders quorum president and say, hey, you need somebody to take care of this. So let me do this. And he said, yeah, it'd be great. He was a great elders quorum president to work with. And we went to town, and it was, I guess the key to that success was finding the people that wanted to do it instead of making an assignment.
Yeah.
Instead of saying, okay, you, and you're going to be the ones. Um, so
Yeah.
I just asked for volunteers, and
So it wasn't that the Elder Quorum president approached you with this calling and you then had to figure it out. You saw a need for a lot of service opportunities and
yes,
said you're going to spearhead this and organize it.
yes, I had been in the young men's presidency, and then we got released, and then I was like, okay, I got to do something. So
Yeah.
I already knew the Elders Quorum president pretty well, and said, hey, what about this? Why don't you have me do this? I
Mhm.
didn't know there was such a thing in the manual,
Yeah.
and but then later I found out, and I go, oh yeah, that's it. That's just called the service coordinator.
Yeah. And
Um,
so was it primarily like move-ins that you were seeing or move-in,
up
move-outs?
up in Vineyard, it was mostly move-ins. There were
Uh-huh.
a few other people that needed particular help, that building shelves in their garage or something like that, for a single sister, and but yeah, primarily it was move-ins.
Nice. Nice. And then that led into some other service opportunities from there?
Well, then we sold that house and moved down here to St. George, and I've been. I would basically say I'm from St. George. I moved here when I was a teenager, and we've been here for a long time, and then out and back and out and back. So St. George is my home. I've got family here. So when we moved into this ward, I had to kind of. I was patient for a while and said, finally I said, you guys aren't really using me. What if I took on this service coordinator thing?
Mhm.
And the elders quorum president said, okay, yeah, that's a good idea. So let's do that.
Nice.
He basically thought I could just help with the moves. Um, but
That's kind of default where we default, right?
Right,
Yeah.
right. And that is something we could talk about, is the standard elders quorum service that most guys think about is, yeah, moving pianos and washers and dryers. And so there's some people that kind of look down on that. Oh, I hate that. I did that. I did that in my 30s. Done with that.
Yeah.
That's one aspect that people
Well, let's
think
just
that.
talk about moving for a moment here, because oftentimes there's this feeling of just sort of the role of the elders quorum to lift heavy things and to help members move in, but at the same time, moving people and moving furniture is actually quite dangerous. I've heard people mess up their knees, really have serious injuries with moving. So it is kind of
Yeah,
this one thing to serve like at the cannery, but a whole other thing when you're
yeah.
moving couches.
I'd say before we get into the nitty gritty of that, I mean, we could probably do a whole hour on
Yeah.
techniques and management of moves. But yeah, there's this. Yeah, that's what elders do, is lift
Mhm.
things.
Yeah.
But I believe there's so much more to it. So uh, the actual spirit of service and reaching out, finding opportunities, finding people that need things. It can be as simple as taking over a bowl of soup or some bread or something. A much more um, emotional connection than moving somebody's piano or their
Right.
couch.
Right.
So I've been trying to magnify that, and I've found ways to do that in other ways besides moving. Now we still do
Yeah.
move-ins and move-outs. We still do that regularly, um, but it's not the only thing we do. And
Yeah.
I'm always on the lookout for other opportunities and ways to serve people. And really, it's another way of ministering.
Mhm.
Um,
So, I mean, but the moves can be such that they can sort of be the most demanding activity, right? And so maybe just
yes.
talk to me. How'd you organize that? If somebody's moving in or
Well,
reaching out, or yeah,
let me just mention that there's two documents that you already have loaded up on the, what do you call that? Your community on
yeah,
the Elders
in
Quorum,
Zion Lab, yep, we
in the
posted them.
Zion Lab, in
Uh-huh.
the Elders Quorum section, correct?
Yep,
So there's
yep.
two documents there that I kind of use as my operating instructions. One is called the Movers and Shakers Squad, which is what I call our group, and then the other one's on Soup Patrol. So we'll talk about movers and shakers first.
Yeah,
So
let's do that.
when we came here, instead of calling it the QRF, I called it the Movers and Shakers Squad, or the M&S, which also corresponds to ministry and service, right?
Mhm.
So we just call it the M&S list or the M&S squad. And again, it's the volunteers that say, yes, I want to be on that list. I want to be give me the opportunities to serve. The other thing there's a basic operating principle that we use is small groups. We don't do the mass gaggle approach of just send out an email to the whole quorum and then see who shows up. And there's 12 guys and there's really 2 guys that unload the truck and everybody else is kind of standing around. And that, frankly, that's when you talked about physically dangerous. The more people that are there that are not actively, moving things, there's actually increases the risk of things happening. Somebody, getting their knee hit or their, fingers pinched or something like that, or tripping with holding a heavy thing. So we try to work in small teams. A team leader is designated for each project. Sometimes I'm the team leader. Sometimes other people are the team leader. There's not, in the other interview, they kind of misinterpreted it like it was some kind of hierarchical, like there's me and then I got 6 team leaders and then they got their people. No, it's not like that. It's just, we're all together. And then for different projects that come up, if there's more than 2 guys, I'll ask one person to be the on-scene team leader so he can kind of make the on-scene decisions.
And that changes from service assignment to service assignment.
Yeah, there's the other thing that came up last time was, well, how do you designate these guys? How do you find these guys? And I said, well, you probably already know who they are. Any Elders Quorum presidency probably knows who their most willing, most active members are, and the ones that are able to lift things and do things and willing and don't watch TV all day. They're the ones that are the natural beginnings of this. But then you start to recruit, you start to grow it, and word gets around. People move in, and then either you help them move, and they go, "Oh, that's great," and they say, "Okay, would you like to help others?" And they say, "Oh, absolutely." So today we have about, I'd say maybe 30 to 35 people. I think I underestimated last time. And I do everything. Most of my work is on the phone, on text messages. Almost everything I do is coordinating just with texts.
Nice.
And so,
you get
sending out opportunities.
Yeah. So you get word that the Joneses are moving in, and then you'll approach a specific individual. Maybe he hasn't been the lead on any assignment.
First, I'll send out to the list. I actually maintain 3 lists because I try to keep those lists, so they don't get unwieldy. So I'll send out, hey, I need 3. Let's say I already know I'm going, so I need 3 more guys. We're going to unload a U-Haul truck. I need 3 guys on Saturday at 8 a.m. We're unloading a new member. Who can help? I mean, it's very short. And then I also have a kind of an ongoing guidance that positive responses only, please. I don't need to hear why you can't come. That just it just junks up the system. Because there's many reasons why people can't. And good reasons. There's nothing wrong with not being able to come, but you don't need to make an excuse for yourself. And
so that message goes out to the entire quorum.
The message goes out to those 3 lists, and then within, we're kind of so forward leaning at this point that often I get those first 2 or 3 responses within minutes or an hour. Oh yeah, I can do it. Or somebody will say, "Hey, I can't be there till 5:30. Can we do it or till 8:30? Can we do it at 8:30?" So yeah, sure. So then we just split that off into the team lead and the 3 other guys and the people that are moving in, and I'll make a new text group for them.
Gotcha.
And say, okay, coordinate the details among yourselves.
Yeah.
And sometimes they'll ask me a question. What was the address again? And I'll fill it. But we don't stay on the main group and keep cycling through. So that actually keeps the chatter down. I mean, that's kind of nuts and bolts technique, but
so what are these 3 lists that you have? What identifies those?
I just call it MS1, MS2, and MS3. The third one is actually for young men leaders. So the first 2 are just my regular, I'll call them regular Joes in the Elders Quorum. And I just split that in 2 because I don't want to, I don't want too big of a group. The third one is for the young men leaders, and they're not often, sometimes they'll pitch in, and sometimes, occasionally, they'll say, "Hey, the young men would like to make this a service." Let's say it's trimming bushes in Widow Jones's yard. They say, "Oh yeah, we could take that on for the teachers' quorum." So
Yeah.
trying to work the young men in is a ongoing effort that I've had. There are some logistical difficulties since I don't have the young men's phone numbers directly. I go through the leaders.
So you'll first send out a blast to that first list and see how many you get, and then
No, I go to all three simultaneously.
Okay.
Not simultaneously. Hit them boom, boom, boom.
Yeah.
And I make sure that I have to manage those lists to make sure people aren't on them to different lists. And as people move, I have to reset it. And
gotcha.
But yeah, those lists are essentially the guts of the system, if you will.
Yeah.
Keeping who's on the list, who wants to get the opportunities, and the people that are on it are now pretty well used to getting, several times a week they're going to get something. I need somebody, like we're working tonight on setting up chairs for the trunk or treat. Now, let me make a point on that. The setting up of chairs and the typical, classroom setup, and I personally, I don't consider that service. That's kind of like just maintenance.
Just running the ward, right?
Sometimes I call it the self-licking ice cream cone. It's like we're helping ourselves, right? So I typically, in the Vineyard ward, I actually kind of put my foot down and said, "Hey, don't send me those kind of assignments to work with my QRF. That's not what we do." And I don't know. I didn't feel like that went over so well. So I accept those from my current Elders Quorum president, and he'll send me those, and I take them on. But that's not what I focus on. That's not what we're not really about setting up chairs and tables for the next activity or whatever. We'll do it. Funerals, we get involved in funerals, but there's kind of other mechanisms for that. So we're focused on just helping people that need help, and it doesn't have to be members, doesn't have to be active members, doesn't even have to be in the ward boundaries. We've had some projects outside our boundaries, helping somebody either move from a different place into our, go and pick their stuff up and bring it in, or in a couple of times just another ward needed help, and I asked around, say, "Hey, who can help out the 7th ward? They're in a pinch. They need a couple of guys who can help." So it's not just 3rd ward. To me, it's like our whole area. Does that make sense?
And then once you get, people saying, "Hey, I can help," then out of that group, you pick someone to sort of lead out.
Yeah, I'll ask them. I'll just sometimes it's the first guy that steps up, but I know all these guys, so I know who's got.
So what's the lead's general responsibility?
It's pretty loose. And I'm ex-military, so I have my own version of how a leader should behave. And it might be a little more energetic than other people's, but basically I want to hand that off and go, okay, if there's any last minute details, Kurt, you're the one that works out the last few details. When does the truck show up? If there's a delay, that's up to you to let your team know.
And like on a move,
somebody needs a piano dolly, and you go, "Oh, do you guys have a piano dolly?"
So would that person, have the phone number to the family they're moving, and
that's what I'm saying. I try to put the family into the group. So when I pull off the project group, the team group for, Kurt, and I'm going to go through these names, Kurt and Steve and David and Andon, you guys are all going to the Joneses, on Saturday morning. So I'll make a group, and then I'll plug in the Jones family, probably brother and sister Jones. Whoever's driving the truck for sure. And then put you all in there. So on Friday, you're talking to each other, and if there's going to be a delay, or the Joneses say, "Oh, we couldn't get a U-Haul truck after all. We're going to be there at 10 instead of 8. You guys handle that."
Yeah, makes sense. So outside of moving assignments, like what are some typical service opportunities you get?
Let's not forget to talk about Soup Patrol.
Okay.
That's a
We'll get
kind of a sideline, but
Uh-huh.
it's related, and it answers part of that question. A lot of yard work kind of thing. We're an older ward, so we have a lot of elderly people, retired, a lot of single sisters, a lot of people with chronic health conditions. So there is usually somebody needs a garage. They got heavy things they need to get up on the shelves. Sometimes they want to, donate things. Oh, can somebody take this washer and dryer and take it to DI or whatever? There have been a few kind of longer term garage cleanup projects.
Mm-hmm.
I mentioned building shelves for something that we've done that a couple times. Recently, a pretty inactive member wanted help with his lawn that was pretty wrecked. And so we kind of mobilized for that. Some guys went over on a Saturday and kind of cleaned up his yard. He was very appreciative and got him to church after a long time of not going. A lot of these things are ongoing. They're not just once and done. What I have found, and it's kind of obvious if you think about it, is any kind of service is a bridge to more fellowship, missionary work. By the way, I have the elders on they're on one of the lists. So they regularly get, we need a couple of guys. And sometimes if they're not busy, they'll come and help. But also I've let them know that we're a resource for them. So regardless of where their investigator is, if an investigator all of a sudden needs some help, let me know and I'll scramble to help. And we'll get some people. We've given rides and we've just done basic cleanup type stuff. So there's fellowship opportunities, ministry opportunities. I need to talk about the overlap between the ministering brothers and the M&S list. So don't let me forget that.
Sure.
But young men, Relief Society, cooperation with the Relief Society. I mean, this service thread runs in many directions and can benefit all kinds of other efforts and amplify them.
Yeah.
Does that make sense?
Yep. So explain what Soup Patrol is.
So Soup Patrol is an outgrowth of one of my good friends who has since passed away, Rob Dunlap, who brought me some soup while I was suffering from COVID back in, I can't remember what year, but anyway, it was somewhere in there. I was not feeling happy. And he just came over and brought me some hot chicken soup. It was great, homemade. It was great. And the best thing about it was he came to my house and braved the dreaded Gambui and came in and, we talked and somebody's thinking about me. So Soup Patrol doesn't have to be soup, and it's not really about the soup. It's really about going and, saying hi and say, hey, we're thinking about you. Here's some soup or some homemade bread or some chili or it could be anything, cookies, store-bought, whatever. It's not about the soup. It's about, oh, hey, we're thinking about you. We heard you had a knee replacement and you can't go anywhere. Hey, here's some cake, and that has been a very impactful effort. So it's not, I don't think of it as owned by the Elders Quorum, although it is, in essence, it is, but anybody can be as part of the Soup Patrol. So a couple, a family, single guy, single lady we rotate it by month. So we just finished my wife and I did Soup Patrol this month. I've got somebody lined up for next month and, I just every month.
Yeah.
And it could be done in a number of other ways too. But the idea is they have something ready to go. And when we hear about it, something just say, oh, do you have some soup ready to go? And they go, oh yeah. I just made some the other day. Or we have some in the fridge or we have some in the freezer. Okay, well, so-and-so needs them. Now here's the way you tie it into the M&S or to the ministering system, ministering brothers or ministering sisters. You contact the ministering brothers or sisters. I call them men bros, by the way. So let the men bros know. And this goes for service projects too. As soon as you find out that Brother Smith is planning to move, or he's got a shed that he needs to tear down or whatever, one of the first things you could try to do is reach out to the men bros.
Yeah.
And say, would you like to be involved? And then depend. Now in our ward, like I said, a lot of elderly guys, it kind of takes a day or two to get a response back. And often the thing has already passed. Like things are already moving before the men bros get on board.
Right.
But we have some mixed success with telling the men bros, hey, so-and-so needs, we need some sandbags in his driveway to control the flooding that comes down off the hill. Can you help us get the sandbags up there? Oh yeah, absolutely. I'll meet you tomorrow morning at 7:00. That just happened a couple of weeks ago. Mm-hmm. So me and the ministering brother met with the brother that needed the help, and we brought some sandbags up. That's a whole nother project that we have, right. Sandbags ready to go, but put sandbags up on his driveway to keep the floods from coming into his basement. Flood waters, not the flood, but
yeah. So going back to the Soup Patrol, so when it's someone's month to be to spearhead the Soup Patrol, they just during that month they always make sure they have soup on hand, ready to go.
Well, theoretically, yeah. Okay. I mean, things don't work perfectly. There's been times when somebody goes, "Oh, I forgot. We already gave out that we don't have any left." Okay, well, we'll figure it out.
Yeah, or they run to the store or whatever.
That's right. Some people just run to the store. Yeah. Or they're gone for 2 weeks. And they go, "Oh yeah, we forgot. We don't have." Then we just fill in. It's very loose and very unstructured. I have a saying: "The gospel of Christ is not a program." Things are not all laid out neatly in a manual. Here's what you do. If this doesn't work, do this, do this. It's not a manual of instruction. It's what's in your heart. How can you help people? And if everybody's trying to help people, then it works pretty well.
So the idea is that the Elders Quorum presidency may get wind, or anybody in the quorum may get wind that somebody's sick or going through a hard time, and then they activate the Soup Patrol. That person would then follow through with delivering that.
That's right. Yeah. Now, and ministering brothers and sisters can just go to whoever's done, and pick up the soup. Uh-huh. The Soup Patrol person doesn't even have to deliver it. It's just kind of a ready magazine, ready to go.
Yeah.
And they can deliver it. Sometimes they do deliver it. Doesn't have to be in the ward again. It could be somebody else. My wife and I just took soup to a friend of mine who lives in Santa Clara. So very, very open-ended. But to me, the idea here is to start to affect the culture of not just the ward, but the whole community. Let's start when we talk about Zion communities, right? Well, how is that really going to work? Well, to me, it's a small step, but this is a step towards that. Being ready to step out of your comfort zone and go talk to somebody outside and say, "Oh, I hear your car got a flat tire and you don't have a jack. Can I help?"
Yeah, and then so just to clarify, like with the Soup Patrol, are they calling ahead, letting the family know they're bringing soup? They just show up, or
depends.
Okay.
One of the typical things, and this is just a American culture thing, but hey, we'd like you to bring you some. Oh no, we're okay. Don't worry about us. So it's a hit and miss. Depends on who you're dealing with and who you are.
Yeah.
I have often dropped things off at the door, left a note or sent them a text saying, "Hey, we just brought you some cookies," or whatever. But you don't want to leave something on the door that's going to get, raided by the wild animals or whatever.
Right.
Often we're just, it's a surprise, "Oh, hi, here's some soup." One time I remember going into a lady's house. She was upstairs. She buzzed us in. She was upstairs recovering from something and just said, "Leave it on the kitchen counter." And so we did. Hi, how are you doing? She's, talking down the stairwell at us. So, okay, we brought you something. Just, we're leaving it on the counter. And then, she said, "Oh, thank you. That was so good." So cool. It's really about being willing to go, not waiting for the perfect time.
Yeah. Is there anything you do as far as with involving everybody in the quorum, like so that you don't get the same 10 people that are just always showing up for the moves and like, are you trying to
Yeah,
engage others?
I have mixed success.
Yeah, as we all do.
So yeah, I mean, we're seeing a lot of the same guys, obviously, and like I say, I get to know all of them. I try to rotate things around. I make a conscious effort. But our elders quorum right now, elders quorum president Stuart, um, he's phenomenal. He's like he would do anything at any time, and I'm constantly trying to say, no, Stuart, you know you did the last. You sit down. Let me work with other guys. You know, and so I kind of have to keep him on because he's got a whole lot of stuff to do. He's working on the welfare issues, greeting new members. He's got a whole bunch of tasks that he's working on. So I actually try to protect the elders quorum president as I do the bishopric. I try not to pass things on to the bishopric do things, and I try to relieve these leaders of this burden.
Yeah, makes sense.
But I also don't want to, they want to do it. So I'm not going to say no. I might say no once, but if they really persist, okay, all right, come on, Stuart, be there tomorrow at 8.
Yeah. And I'm thinking, there may be people, resistant to showing up to a move, but you can approach them and say, how about you do Soup Patrol this week or this month, right? And it's less of a physical task and more of just service, right?
Right.
Right. Is there anything else? And I love the Soup Patrol thing because it's kind of this universal thing. Like everybody's eating, and maybe it's not a big deal, but maybe someone lost their job or they're just had a rough day or whatever. Like whether they're sick or not, that's kind of a universal thing you can do to serve. I think another part of the service coordinator, at least in my ward, like we don't have we've kind of gone through our phase of move-ins. Everybody's sort of settled. We have lot of young couples who are, maybe they have an infant. We have the machine of the compassionate service and the newborns. Bringing in meals after births is, that's definitely dialed in. I'm just like a big part of it is just finding service opportunities. And even if it's like, sometimes we don't even know someone's been sick, or we don't know it kind of feels forced at times, like, well, let us know if there's anything we can do, but there's not really. I mean, I'm good, or my brother's down the road, or,
Yeah. I'm besides just waiting for the next move in, I'm usually sending messages out. I'm talking to people, and I have time in elders quorum, so I'll use that time and say what things might be coming up, or I'll thank people for showing up at this particular project. But I'm also asking, who do you know? If you know any people, there's always the Soup Patrol who'd like, do you know anybody that's sick? But also, what do we know about other projects coming up? So we have a little bit of a discussion about that. And then I've been doing it long enough in this ward that people know that, if there's an issue, people will get a hold of me, or they'll get a hold of Stuart as the elders quorum president, and I'll find out quickly. I mean, you got to have your feelers out. Don't just sit back and wait. You got to go and do. You got to be proactive.
Yeah.
And there are many things. There are lots of opportunities if you just keep asking.
Yep. And I just love this culture of service that comes. People start to understand what Ajax is doing, and there's sort of the system. They can reach out, send a message, and then I think things will come up a lot easier as
now. Let me
members are aware.
The challenge, though, and I've been doing this long enough to where everybody knows me, and I'm the guy to go to. But now I'm to the phase of I need to stop talking about what I do. I guess maybe I'm narcissistic enough to where it kind of comes across that way. But for the last couple of years, I've been actually understanding that I'm trying to build this culture so other people are getting involved, and other people are getting excited about it, and other people are going out and finding projects. And I've had a little bit of success with that. But yeah, I am concerned that, if I'm not here to make this work, then what's going to happen? I'm trying to get an assistant that's proactive enough to work on that. I would love to have a 20-year younger version that I could like transplant all these ideas and go, okay, now you, but I do think that that's part of why I've started reaching out to some of these LDS podcasts. Is like, I think there's people that would really benefit, the people that could be service coordinators that would benefit. I mean, it's so great to be able to go out and serve people. And it's, I didn't really talk about this in the beginning, but one of my motivations is, if things aren't going, if you get inside your own head too much, then you start, and I'm retired. So this all started after I'd retired, but instead of thinking about your own problems and or what vacation you're going to take next, start looking around and go, well, how can I help people? And it changes your whole attitude. It changes you spiritually. And so I think, let 1,000 service coordinators bloom all over the church.
Yeah.
And I would love to exchange ideas with others. There are service coordinators out there. I'm not the only one.
You're not.
I'm not that big of a genius. So there's.
I wonder if we have more apostles or service coordinators in the church.
I think there's a lot more service coordinators. I when I first started like becoming aware that, there's this calling, I thought, well, no one has ever talked about this, but no, there's a few other wards at my stake that have service coordinators. And now that I've started, plugging into Discord and some other places, there are service coordinators out there, and they have ideas, and they have cool stories, and they have exciting things they're doing. So I would like to get that community going.
Yeah, for sure.
Let me mention another a challenge is that maybe challenge is too strong, but you need to be aware of how you mesh with the Relief Society. So in a lot of ways, and in many wards I've been in, the Relief Society is doing its thing. It's in a silo over here. And then the Elders Quorum is in its silo, and they're just doing, they're working away, but they don't necessarily talk to each other. It's not that way in all wards. So maybe that doesn't apply.
No, that's
but I think that the service coordinator and the compassionate service leaders ought to be communicating regularly. And that's something I'm still working on, trying to get that going. And you shouldn't compete with them. Like Soup Patrol is not a substitute or a competitor to the meals that Relief Society does.
Right.
The Soup Patrol thing is just a quick hit. It's like, somebody got their ankle busted, and let's take them some hot bread. But they might need meals for the next week or two, and that's a Relief Society thing. There's no intent to displace or compete with what the Relief Society, the ministering efforts that the Relief Society does every day. There's no intent for that. You should try to figure out ways to mesh and ways to work together and complement each other.
So are you in communication with the compassionate service leader? Or?
Nominally, yes.
Uh-huh.
I wish I did more on that. So
yeah. But I guess the point being, don't let each group retreat to their silos and just sort of there's a lot we can learn and a lot more people we can serve effectively by working together.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. I mean, the Relief Society has they've got their feelers out through the sisters, and through, they know when somebody's struggling or something, and often that's been worked on, and then it goes up to the ward. What's it called? I can't remember, but the meeting that they have,
the ward council or
ward council. Excuse me, I was going to say correlation, but it's the ward council that talks about those issues. So let's sister so and so lost her job, and now she's struggling, and and that comes up to the ward council. Ward council talks about it, and then maybe meals start, and then it could be a week or two before the Elders Quorum ever finds out about it, unless somebody makes an effort and goes, let's talk to the Elders Quorum president, and then it trickles down, and then it comes across, hey, we have this guy, he's the service coordinator, maybe he could help do the trim the bushes, and it's like 2 weeks later. So I'd like to see that sped up, so that when the Relief Society finds out, the Elders Quorum and me find out, and vice versa. So everybody's kind of energized at the same time.
Yeah. And we do have that, the admonition to seek out the poor and the needy, right? So sometimes we kind of wait around like for people to approach us, but the more proactive we can be to seek these opportunities out. I mean, that's where
Right.
our discipleship should be focused.
I, to me, the service effort is a multidisciplinary, crosses boundaries. I've already mentioned, the elders getting involved, the missionaries getting involved. I have good. He's a neighbor of mine, the ward mission leader,
Mhm.
and he knows that he can reach out to the M&S list and the Suit Patrol anytime. And if he has an investigator or somebody that he's working with, we can chip in.
Yeah.
I mentioned the youth, the young men and young women. I could do more there. I wish that the young men and young women had more opportunities. I mean, they have their own opportunities, but I think we could be tighter in sync, and it could give them even more opportunities. And we need more young bodies. In our ward, we got willing old guys with weak knees and weak backs. So I'm always on the prowl for somebody with fresh meat. So when somebody under 40 moves into our ward, I'm typically, when they give their first talk, I'm up there. Hey, how you doing? I heard you like,
Seeing how firm that handshake is.
yeah,
Right?
exactly. Oh, do you have a truck?
Exactly. Yeah, that's awesome. And so things like I know sometimes we'll get from our area, our stake, we'll get canning assignments like church formal service assignments that way. Is that something you ever deal with?
I try not to deal with those. Like I said, to me, it's kind of like the self-licking ice cream cone.
Uh-huh.
That's a little pejorative. Maybe I shouldn't use that term so much. But for example, though, the stake president has come to me this is the second year, to do a Christmas lighting program at the St. George Temple. So there's multiple stakes that get involved. They come and they set up the lights, and it's kind of a big deal. So the stake president knows that I'm very active in this. So he asked me last year, and it was fun, and I enjoyed it. And so I'm the crew chief for that project in our stake. So it's kind of an outgrowth of just my activity of trying to help people in it whenever. But the typical ward assignment type stuff, I like, and we need 6 guys to go to the temple or do, I usually stay away from those. We don't have any more stake canning assignments that I know of. At least I'm not aware. Maybe that's an area I could plug into, but nobody in our ward ever comes up and goes, "Hey, we need 6 people to go to the bishop's storehouse." That doesn't happen here. Maybe it does elsewhere.
Yeah. Yeah. Interesting. That's really good. Any other point principle concept that we missed or?
Yeah, that the cross-channel communication, I think, is key. Communication is everything about this particular calling. I think a lot of guys would have the temptation to just do it themselves, and I have that as well. It's like, oh, and I find there's a second thing I really want to talk about. But instead of just going, oh yeah, well I'll be there and I'll do that. You can do it. A lot of times it's simple. Oh, sister so-and-so needs a cactus in their backyard taken out, put in the trash. Yeah, I could do that in 5 minutes. But her neighbor 2 doors down, young guy, just moved into the ward, still trying to figure things out. If you get him involved, now he's got a connection with her, and he's just 2 doors down. So try to build the linkages as you go and get other people involved instead of just doing everything yourself. And there is always a max capacity. One person can't do everything. So sometimes it takes more time and more effort to get other people the opportunity than just do it yourself. So try to work on the coordination and not the execution side.
Yeah.
The other big thing that I have been working on for my own personality and my own growth is to use the opportunities for service as spiritual development for everybody. And this goes into maybe too much detail, but it's easy to get frustrated at stuff when you're on moves and other projects and get impatient. And, like I already mentioned, guys standing around and stuff. So it's easy to kind of get flustered and, hey, come on, let's get going. And be more directive. But instead of thinking about the mission, unloading the truck, planting the sod, fixing the plumbing, instead of thinking about that, which is valuable. I'm not deprecating it. It's important to get the job done. But what's more important is the feeling and the camaraderie and the spiritual connection you have with those people and with the people you're working with. I haven't made this a common practice, but I'm trying to figure out ways to do it. Is before we actually start the project, we should just have a little prayer. I've done it once or twice, but it's amazingly hard because everybody's showing up at different times. And when they show up, some of them are like, okay, let's go. Tell me where to go. It's like, calm down, brother. Come over here. Let's say a little prayer. And I'm not that way either. I'm the one that's like, okay, let's go. But take a beat, pull off to the side, say a little prayer. It could be saying a prayer in the person's living room with them.
Yeah.
And so the spiritual side is something that I've been trying to work on myself and trying to instill that with others. I'm more of a practical worker than a spiritual worker. So it's something I need to work on.
No, that's really helpful advice to make sure that component is part of it. Right. A few questions here that people have written in. Did you say you called each one of those three lists is the mover and shaker list 1, 2, and 3, right?
Right.
Yeah.
That's just, I don't know. That was the fastest way to put him as,
Okay.
Could have other reasons to call it something else. By the way, those names are like just little cutesy names. You could call it in the manual. You say something about a service committee.
Yeah.
Like there's a service committee. Well, in essence, that's what my lists are. But there's no calling for them. Nobody's assigned. It's just, would you like to be on this list? Would you like to get these texts? And would you like to be involved? And we don't have meetings. There's no meetings.
So you don't necessarily, if someone moves into the ward, they don't automatically go on one of these lists. You actually.
No, I recruit them.
Okay.
And sometimes, like there's a guy right now that I've reached out to because he's like 6'4" and 240, and I know he can move a piano, and he's young, and I'm waiting for his response, but I don't know. Maybe he's busy. Maybe
sounds like you need some soup. But.
He's a young father, so maybe he's maxed out.
Yeah. Interesting. So that's good. So they're not just it's not just the quorum split up into 3 groups. These individuals you've invited to be part of the
right.
Service.
So let me reiterate that little group could be seen as some kind of a little sub, elite group of ministers, that, and there is some concern in the ward leadership about displacing and taking away opportunities from the ministering brothers and sisters. And we're trying not to do that. That's why I say if a project comes in, that I will look, because I have access. I don't know how many people do. Maybe it has to be turned on, but I can see who the ministering brothers and ministering sisters are.
Mm-hmm.
So let's say I find out that Brother Anderson needs help. I'll look at Brother Anderson's profile and on LDS Tools, and I'll see, oh yeah, well, he's got these 2 ministering brothers, and I'll send them a text, because nobody answers their phone anymore. I'll send them a text, say, would you like to be involved? I understand you're the ministering brothers for Brother Anderson, and he needs help with this. Could you be involved? And then if they come back to me in a relatively fast time frame, then I'll plug them in. They could be the team lead. They could do it. If there's 2 of them and it's a 2-man job, they could do it. But what typically happens about 75% of the time is I don't get a response back, or I get a response from one and he's out of town. So we just move ahead, but then they're still in the loop because there might be a follow-on. So it's a way to tie in. Hey, now they know about this need of this family that they have, that is their assignment, is their priesthood assignment. So it helps the ministering brothers and sisters as well. Now, I don't do that typically on the sister side, but if it's a single sister, for example, I might. So I'm trying to get the ministering brothers and sisters involved, and I think that's an important part of this, because again, you don't want to set up a separate system. That wouldn't be correct.
Yeah. Yep. Very good. And then anything like as far as how you are these just lists you have in your phone that then you text them all, like, or do you have a certain system?
I'm very informal about it, and
Okay.
it actually could be more structured, I suppose. There's people that are a little more organized. When I went on Salty Saints, one of their guys talked about when he was an Elders Quorum president, he maintained a spreadsheet of needs. So, people that needed service or needed something. And then his service coordinator and his counselors could look at that and then go, oh, I know somebody that can help that or that. I don't know how well that worked. I haven't talked to him more, but that's another method that you could use, or at least those things could work together. The list and the needs matrix could kind of work together.
Yep.
I'm not saying my ways are the only ways. There are other methods out there, and I could use some more ideas.
Yep. Well, Ajax, I really appreciate you just sharing all this, and let's keep the conversation going in over in the Elders Quorum group in Zion Lab, as people have different experiences or things they've tried.
Yeah, I'd like to start, kind of interacting in that forum and see if other people have experiences and things we can talk through.
Good stuff. Last question I have for you, Ajax, is as you reflect on your time as a service coordinator for your Elders Quorum, how has this role helped you become a better follower of Jesus Christ?
Yeah, like I was mentioning, I have learned to be more, how would Christ do this? It's questions I'm asking myself more and more, instead of just how can we get it done? It's like, how can this be done in a spiritual way?